Welcome to the launch of my new book. I thought I'd start by telling you briefly how the book came about, how it came to be born. So I've been thinking about it for quite a while, and thinking about it for a really long time. Even worse, I've been talking about it, and talking about it, and talking about it for over 3 years. And that whole time I was worried about how would I get this done, would I be able to do it, who would publish it. During that time, I'd become fairly well known. I'd started speaking quite a lot, and I was known as an engaging speaker. And while I was planning to speak at an event, I published the abstract, and I got an email from Jonathan Hassel at A-Press. Now, I knew A-Press as a pretty well-known publisher of a whole library of technical books, and John said, the abstract that you're talking about sounds like a great subject area for a book. Would you be willing to do it? At that point, I really panicked. I thought, writing a book is like running a marathon. I've written a lot for my work, but writing a whole book is like a real marathon, and I wasn't really sure I could get it across the finish line. But after all the thinking I'd been doing for all that time, and all the talking I'd been doing about one day writing a book, I thought I just had to do it. So I decided to go for it. I knew it would be hard, a bit of a climb to get to the end, but it was a lot harder than I expected. And I really found it to be a major effort. I started writing, and writing, and writing, and finally I'd submitted a few chapters to the editor, and I started to get stuff back. And this is what it looked like. Eviscerated, cut to shreds. This is not made up example, this is really from page 49 of the book. And I looked at this, and I felt like this. I thought, how am I going to be able to finish this? It's hard enough to get the words down. I felt like giving up. But fortunately, a nice conference call with the team from A-Press, Jonathan and Tracy Brown got on the phone with me, kind of did a therapy session, and I decided to keep on going. And after a while, after looking at the changes, I realized that Louise, the editor, was really making it way better than it otherwise would have been. So I kept going with kind of renewed energy, feeling like this thing might not turn out to be too bad after all. If you're ever thinking of writing, I just want to let you know a little bit of the layout of how it works. First you write, and then there's a technical edit where someone checks that your book is factually correct from a technical point of view. And then you have an edit, and then of course you rewrite after that edit. Of course you rewrite as well if there's any technical changes. And then there's copy edit, which is all the grammar checking and spell checking and all that kind of thing, and you rewrite after that. And then there's the proof, and there's where you catch the final issues that need to be fixed up and issues about layouts of the images, etc. So it's kind of a constant process. But if you think it's as simple as that, that rewrite process actually has multiple stages to it. Not only that, but I had a couple of co-authors. I had 2 chapters, one each written by Sarah Hasse and one by Michael Pisarek. And so they submitted their chapters to me, which I then rewrote with them, then submitted to Louise, who then rewrote them, and then we re-edited back and forth to make sure we had the sense right. And then finally we had to add all the images, screenshots, and I had to make sure I had the rights for some of the images that some people had lent me, and all of that had to go through the process and be adjusted. It was a pretty hefty process. Even while on vacation, here I am in Africa. I'd gone to speak there, and then I'd taken some vacation time with my wife. We wanted to go exploring, and no, I had to rewrite. Here's me sitting outside and rewriting. Nice setting, but still working. But don't worry, I did manage to have some fun while I was away. I got a couple of great shots. We went on some safaris, and so I did manage to get some vacation in there, so it wasn't all bad. And then finally, I got the book in my hand, and boy, does it feel good to be done. So you might ask, what is this book really about? It's about getting to success as a SharePoint business analyst and information architect. And it doesn't matter whether you're a consultant or an internal resource. One of the things that we know about SharePoint is that it's really a technically complex platform. The problem is that getting the technology right is not equal to success. You have to get the technology right, but by itself, it's not good enough. You need to get the business side of it right as well. And that's a lot of what the book is about. More specifically, it's about tools, mainly visual tools, that foster shared understanding. You've got to have shared understanding if you're going to get to shared commitment. And shared commitment is absolutely required to get to success on a project. So more practically, and that gets you to success. So more practically, what this book is about is, yes, information architecture, but it's not formal information architecture. There's no ontology type discussions here. It's much more practically based around the things that a SharePoint IA and consultant needs to know about to build successful solutions. It covers a lot about how to run workshops and how to use visual tools to assist with the organization and extraction of information in your workshops, and then being able to share that back with your users. One of the tools that I spend the most amount of time on is Mind Manager for mind mapping. This is an example of a taxonomy, but I also use it for prioritization and building navigational maps. The book also covers techniques such as card sorting for identifying concepts and how they're grouped and understood by your stakeholders. We talk about governance hierarchies and how these various layers should be managed and used in your planning of your project. We talk about wireframes that allow you to very quickly get an understanding of the layout and operation of a site. One of the things that happened in the creation of the book that I didn't notice until it was published, but a few people have tweeted about it now. I don't know how that got in there. Jimmy Olsen is not a marketing ass, he's a marketing assistant, but the little markup tag there covers over the full title. Anyway, accidents will happen. When you talk about a SharePoint project and dealing with documents don't just appear and disappear. They're created and destroyed as part of a process. And so we discuss the concept and we give examples of process mapping tools in the book. Michael Pisarik's chapter on search talks about the considerations from an IA point of view for building search that really works in your SharePoint project. We talk about training, governance, and adoption and how to achieve engagement with your teams. Sarah has a really great chapter on return on investment. ROI is a really important factor, often needed when you're justifying the budget for a project. And then we'd also talk a little bit about the cloud and how, not so much for deploying to the cloud, but how you can leverage the cloud for designing solutions and testing them. So a lot of thanks are due to a lot of people for getting this done. First and foremost to my wife for her love and support through this whole process. To my parents who taught me so much, to my kids for being great people and giving me a reason to work really hard, to my boss at Novantas for his support and for Novantas' support, to the great team at A-Press, to my previous colleagues, bosses, mentors, and guides, and to all my friends in the SharePoint community. And thanks to all of you from whom I've learned so much. I hope you enjoy the book.